Okay. Good evening, everybody. It's very nice to see you. Welcome to the Association of Ayurvedic Professionals. This is the talk this evening is about advancements in clinical research in Ayurveda. For anyone that doesn't know, and I think almost everybody does know, my name is Ajanta Kaza. I'm the General Secretary of the Association, and this is Dr. Deepika Rodrigo, who is the chairwoman of the association. And I want to introduce our guest speaker, who is Professor Kamal Perera. We are really delighted to have him here this evening. This is the beginning, or rather the continuation, we hope, of a very long and fruitful collaboration between the Institute, the Association, and the University of Colombo. Professor Kamal is a professor of Ayurvedic medicine and the dean of the Faculty of Indigenous Medicine at the University of Colombo, of which Dr. Deepika is, of course, as Professor Kamal says, a very good alumni coming from that faculty. And I just want to say a few words to introduce Professor Kamal before I hand it over to Dr. Deepika. He is an Ayurveda consultant clinician and an Ayurveda clinical pharmacologist, and has done great work to incorporate the knowledge of Sri Lanka's traditional medicine in the treatment of immunological disorders, nerve disorders, joint, bone, and muscle ailments using Ayurvedic medicine. He is a renowned researcher and lecturer at the university, and we've just been speaking to him. It seems that his research and lecturing roles have taken him really, he seems very ubiquitous. He's been to 25 different countries in the world, taking his work and his knowledge and building these connections. And he's a renowned personality in the international Ayurvedic medical forums around the world as well. And I'm sure he probably doesn't want me to say this, but he became the youngest professor in Ayurvedic medicine in Sri Lanka and has a proven track record as an Ayurvedic herbal pharmacologist in Sri Lanka also. And he also occupies many other roles, such as being a senior consultant to the World Health Organization on traditional medicine-related projects. So he is very much the right person to be delivering this talk this evening. And the topic is, we feel, is very timely and critical because, as you all know, I think most of our attendees today are practitioners, Ayurvedic practitioners, or students. And you know very well that in the West, in the modern climate, there is a great reliance on evidence-based medical systems, which, as you've experienced perhaps firsthand, leads to a certain distrust or fear of traditional medicine systems. There's maybe because of our conditioning, but it creates a gap. So those who very much need this medicine, as you know, who need this approach to their health, are perhaps prevented from seeking that help because they are unfamiliar with these and they expect only to rely on evidence-based medical systems. So I think Professor Kamal is really here to help debunk the myth that only allopathic medicine is the evidence-based traditional science. And this is really about, he's going back to what I think we spoke about many years ago, which was we wanted people to understand in the West that Ayurvedic medicine is a science. It is an actual science. It is a real science, but the evidence base for that, the proof of that, is something that we believe that Professor Kamal's work will do a great deal to bridge that gap. And so we're really looking forward to what he has to tell us. And before he does, I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Deepika.
Hello, hi everyone. I think you're all doing very great. And I'm eager to introduce my colleague, Professor Kamal, Dean of the University University of Colombo and Indigenous Medical Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Ayurvedic Medicine. And because this is, recently there has been a lot of change in Ayurvedic Institute in Sri Lanka, and it became a faculty because of the Professor Dean had taken our Ayurvedic college and university to the other level, with this really hardworking professor. And I'm really, really glad the work he doing towards the whole Ayurvedic community and the Ayurvedic medical system in Sri Lanka. And the other thing is the youngest professor in Sri Lanka. I'm really envy with that, because he got got there very early. And he's a great guy and nice, doctor and colleague. And you can have really good lecture. And we are going to collaborate with the institute, not institute, the faculty, to send our students and have a lot of work. We are arranging with university, and then what we like to do is to be patient. We are going to go a quite nice journey with Ayurveda, with collaborating with Sri Lanka. Your third year and your further studies, we can be doing with help with the Ayurvedic professors and Ayurvedic universities in Sri Lanka. This lecture is the kind of milestone to us to enter to that arena, and we will go there slowly. Okay. And
so be very nice to Professor Kamal. He may be hosting you in Sri Lanka in the future. Just to let you know, what we'll do is Professor Kamal has about 45 minutes to speak, and then we may have some time for a few questions at the end. So we'll hand you over to Professor Kamal.
Yeah, actually, maybe good evening in here, maybe the same, I think, right? In UK, good evening. Maybe some of the countries, good morning, good afternoon, whatever, right? So, again, thank you very much for giving the brief introduction about myself and my faculty and my country. So it's a great opportunity actually join with again. Dr. Deepika is one of great alumni of the University of Colombo. Then again, I would kindly actually join with this with her request at the very beginning that he came to us at in last conference days in our faculty. So within that we discussed a little bit what we can do in future to spread the Ayurveda, the real Ayurveda, the authentic Ayurveda. So in that case, the Sri Lanka is, that the very old age country when it comes to this type of medical systems. That maybe 5,000, maybe more than that. Sometimes there are some evidences in our country. So not only that, maybe when you are thinking about the Ayurveda, is we all think it's like just a philosophy. Actually, it's a philosophy, the correct philosophy with the correct science. That's why still it survived. So before I'm going to my, proper works, I want to tell you that when it comes to the Ayurvedic systems, it survives still. Why is that? The behind scenario is that there's a science behind this, and also the logic behind this. That's why it seems to us that still it's a major system of medicine in the world. So only thing is that some contexts we cannot prove sometimes. When it comes to the allopathic angle, we know that 1 + 1 is 2. But in Ayurveda, it's not like that. Maybe 1 + 1 is not 2 sometimes. It's more than that. Sometimes lesser. So maybe if you go to the alphabetically, we will say that A and B, right? In Ayurveda, it's not A and B. there's something in between, and that type of science in Ayurveda. So that's why it's a great, thinking pattern in this, all the centers, if you read, especially Shushruta, Charaka, Ashtanga, then again, our kind of systems, especially in Sri Lankan traditional medicine, we have lots of traditional books, especially the Ola leaves. All these are some sort of proven quality, qualifications to develop drugs, to how the treatments, modalities, all these are in correct form. So within that, but we need some evidences, because we all are now, we know that this in situation, we need some profound evidences, anything, right? Not only the medicine, right? Also any engagement, we need some sort of evidences. That's why we are going behind research. So this is a brief introduction about the, that whole scenario today. I'm discussing about the research, what we are doing, and what we can engage in future with us. Especially, as correctly says Dr. Deepika, I would like to invite all of you to my faculty, and one day maybe we can meet and do much more works in that, especially concerns of our traditional systems of medicine. So I'm sharing my slides. Hopefully, Ajanta, is it okay to share? Hope you can see my slides. Yes. So today's topic actually is a little bit broader topic, the advancement in clinical research in Ayurveda. Because I thought that this is a little bit far different what you are teaching and learning sometimes. Because this is this context is a little bit more deeper when it comes to this topic sometimes. But I will try to do my best that to do it in in some sort of level, right? Not going too much deep. So when it comes to the outcomes, we can see here, I'm discussing here the current status of research on traditional medicine. Then, then again, integration and strength in research development processes. Then there are some success stories, what we are doing. So these are the things that I'm hoping to cover today. Before that, I will a little bit introduce about the traditional medicine, especially when it comes to traditional medicine has their own concept and also their own treatment modalities. So when it comes to the novel aspects, especially when it comes to research, when you are doing, especially you are thinking in different silos. So before that, I will like to give some sort of idea. What is this this type of medicine? When it comes to traditional physicians, you can see here every time rely on Prashna Pariksha. In Prashna Pariksha, in Sinhala, we call it Sinhalese language. In Sanskrit also, Pariksha is the same, Prashna is the same. So it's we call we are asking about the body constitutional questionnaires, especially. That means they are doing some sort of clinical examination for their diagnosis in personalized manner. That means they are thinking about the genomic medicine. Because you know that when it comes to gene patterns, right, every time is interrelated with this personality, how this body works nicely, not like the mass scale therapies, right? You know that when it comes to especially Western medicine, they're based on the mass scale therapies, not like a traditional medicine. Traditional medicine, when we are giving traditional medicine to the patients, every time we have to think about their personality. Accordingly, we are giving the drugs. That's why you can find this type of lots of oral leaves in our country, thousands of oral leaves, thousands of remedies. Why is that? Because our treatment modality is different, the patient to patient. So then the drugs and the formulas also differ sometimes according to the personal situation. That's why our profiles is very high. Drug profiles is very high when we are comparing to the Western medicine. Right? So it's a one thing you have to get to know, right? It's a whole research area nowadays. You know that the personalized medicine and genome medicine, right? So this is interrelated. It's like an integrative systems now. So then again, we can see that the accuracy and detail of their pulse diagnosis by far exceed the capabilities of modern state-of-the-art investigations like MRI, biomarkers. We all are doing that. But the same thing, these traditional practitioners can do by touching their pulse. That maybe how their diagnostic methods are far different sometimes. They are not relying on sometimes the scan machines or MRI because of these personal characters. So when you are doing research, you have to think about these things very carefully, especially when you are designing, whereas methods are sometimes differ. This is we call real personal medicine. So then again, you can see most of the time these traditional practitioners, they prefer to issue their medicines to the patient by their own hands. You know that they have to keep it. Ultimate endpoint is the pharmacy, right? Nowadays we are going with the prescriptions. We are buying our medicines, right? We don't know sometimes what they are giving us, right? If you are the medical related person, you know sometimes, right? But this type of interactions, engagement is very important. We call personalized medicine and safety. So you can see that these traditional practitioners, they are thinking about this rationale, how to use safe medicine, right, in their practice. So this is very important factor. So then again, they would carefully fold the prescriptions and give it to the patients with both hands. They are giving some wishes also. Maybe you know that the wishes are very important, right, to all of us, right? They said in Sinhala we call Pathirage, right? May you be free from illness. This is intangible context. Sometimes these things we cannot, touch with the research, right? We don't have the machineries, right? But if you know that if you improve the quality of life, sometimes we think that there's some sort of interactions of these wordings also, right? So that you can see that this intangible context is very important of these medicines. So then again, when it's come to the patient's care, right, even the midnight is no exception, right? They are dedicated their whole life to this sacred art of healing. That's we call respect. Nowadays, that respect comes with the money sometimes, right? It's not like that. These practitioners, they are doing sometimes free medicines, right? In this context. So they are that much of respect they are giving to the patients. So you can see that they take their time to teach this sacred art to the young people, right? To preserve it for a few more generations. Right? It's like open access, not in a patented manner. You call humanity, right? Nowadays, you know that every drug has become a patent, right? Maybe it's some sort of business, right? But they are not like that. They are very generous. They are giving their knowledge open. We can say that it's like an open access book, right? So you can see these things are very important stuff that will come to the traditional systems of medicines. When they are making herbal oils and other stuff that they manage within that their own procedures, we call it traditional good manufacturing practices. This is very important when it comes to drug development processes. Nowadays, we involve in the pharmaceutical good manufacturing practices. The same thing that they involve in their context when they are developing their own medicines. So then you can see that they worship the Buddha and chanting of Pirit, we call it good wishes, right? When they are making any kind of medicines, right? That it has some sort of impact, intangible measures, how they care about these medicines. So these are very important factors. If you come to Sri Lanka, you can see that how we make these medicines. We are giving very respect when we are making these medicines to the patients. So all these factors are very essential things when you are deciding your research context. very important. That's why the traditional medicine research somewhat differ with the Western medical research. So these are, because these methods are very important when you are developing any sort of medicine or patient care. Maybe sometimes your research may be based on the patients, their disease conditions, sometimes drug developments. All these aspects are very important. Then again, I want to tell you about my country, right? As you know, a little bit, maybe you read lots about our country. When comes the monastic hospital at Mihinkale, this is a very important place. Maybe the world first hospital, actually situated in Sri Lanka. Maybe we don't know sometimes. It's the truth. Because in our tradition is, that thinking about the community. Right? So the community-based medicine is very important in nowadays. Even if, we can see that when it comes to epidemical diseases and those things are very much concerned with this community pattern identifications. All these things happen in past. So within that history, then you can see that there are some, that the medicine trough they found in when they are doing archaeological findings, right? So then bronze probes, then surgical instruments, right? So all these are found in Sri Lankan ancient history, right? That means in Sri Lanka is very good in medicine and treatment. Not only that, and research. So when come to these research aspects and medicinal treatments, as you know that in Sri Lanka, especially after the Buddhist culture and developments, it's influenced a lot. Actually, it's developed the safe use of medicines in traditional medical systems in past. That's why our tradition is sometimes much more ethics we are following, right? Every time we are concerned about this patient, right? This is very important because we are tamed with this Buddhist culture. So what I'm telling you these things is very important. That the country to country these things maybe differ, right? But when you are doing research, these things are very important to get to know our cultural situations, how these traditional medicines involvements, right? How our study design methods, all these things are very important. So then again, you can see how ethics we are. Right? In those days, you can see when come to the especially this drug development processes, right? You can see that how ethical in those days, and in our country, that King Buddhadasa is a very famous king who treated lots of patients in 4th century AD. He has a skilled physician, surgeon, and researcher. Right? He authorships of Sarath Sangra, establishments of village hospitals, medical seminars, especially. Right? Lots of things he engaged with the research before introducing medicine to the public. So when it comes to the Western thinking pattern, you can see here that how ethics they followed when they are developing drugs. I'm not touching these things actually, right? Which come to that maybe if you go through the history, right? Then Auschwitz Nazi camp in 1943, Dr. Joseph Mengele, how he involved in these processes. It's very sad. So you know that because it's not tamed by the culture, right? Because in Sri Lanka has maybe history, right? Lots of history and tamed by the Buddhism, and time to time, that the people involved in lots of research, there are evidences. That's why we can develop our traditional medicine within a good ethical background. So these things are very peculiar, very significant in our country. So, but with these common perceptions about traditional and Ayurvedic medicine, we think that had developed over a time by trial, as I mentioned now, right? Now are time tested, maybe the part of cultural heritage, we think that actually it's correct. But sometimes about perceptions of traditional and that Ayurvedic medicine sometimes leading to a vacuum of scientific evidences. That's why most of countries they are not doing much research, evidence-based research, because actually it's come to the our heritage, our culture, right? But sometimes it's cause different, maybe adverse reactions sometimes wrong formulas, right? Sometimes we are not learned well, we are not much engaged with systems, right? Our diagnosis sometimes differ, we are not thinking about the traditional diagnostic methods. All these things sometimes cause some problems. That's why we need research. So, end of the my presentations, you can have some questions, right? Definitely, I think that lots of questions is come to your mind now, right? We will discuss at a stage, right? So, when it comes to these alternative systems of medicine, what I'm telling you alternative because in Sri Lanka we are separately running these systems, right? Not like a complementary, because you know that complement is that it gives some sort of complement to the Western medicine, right? But in here we are running alternative. We are running our Ayurvedic system differently and Western medicine differently. There are some interrelations in between. Right? Referral system is there, but hospitals and other medical pharmacies and drug developments we are done differently. Sometimes these systems of medicines are not the results of adoption of practices by trial and error. Keep in mind that they have good evidences. Then such traditional medicines are built on strong logical fundamentals. This is very important. If you go through these Santas, maybe Sanskrit books, authentic texts, right, you can find these theories, fundamental theories, though they may belong to a different set of paradigms. Because these systems sometimes you cannot understand. That's why we are not thinking we can do the research using these theories. Our thinking pattern is like that, but it's a different paradigm, different systems. So we have, there may be a different study designs. So we will see that the traditional medicine research would differ from conventional research. We'll be talk about this. You can see when it comes to these systems, it has a holistic approach. As you know that Atma, Manas, and Charita. So when it comes to our systems, traditional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, whatever, we are holistically we are approaching. Not like based on Western medicine, there are not much targets on receptors, right? We are not thinking about the efficacy, right? We are come up with some sort of holistic approach. As you correctly know that the Atma, Manas, and Shari, we think all this, we need equilibrium. Right? We need to develop the quality of life. For example, when you are giving some medicines, right? The patient is smiling. That's enough for us. Right? We don't need to think about the pattern and disease pattern and molecular pathways sometimes. You know that ultimately the holistic approach is win, right? Because patients can do well. So these are the things we have to think. This is the conventional research methods are a bit different, right? In these systems that I want to emphasize here. Then again, the patient individualized treatment models, as I correctly said that, you know that in Ayurvedic system, right, the traditional medical systems, right, these modalities are incommensurability, right? The treatment and diagnosis approaches, right? They do have the incommensurability, right? You can see that we are thinking about the prakriti, right? Especially we are targeting the body constitution and mental state. I think you know the basics, right? You learn these things from Dr. Deepika. I know that she taught you well, right? This basic concept. Then again, Agni, another concept. We call it digestive power or metabolism in a modern angle, right? Agni is very important when it comes to the traditional systems of medicine. Then again, dietary pattern, right? Then behavioral aspects, environmental influences, all are leading to some sort of patient individualized treatment models. So that's why the Ayurveda is not much concerns mass scale therapies. So we are much, our treatment modalities and diagnostic patterns are based on individual basis. This is the theory. At the very beginning, I will tell you. That's why this is much more related to the genomic medicine nowadays. So then again, the incommensurability of etiological explanations and diagnosis. These are very different sometimes. The research, sometimes we cannot understand. Right? For example, we'll say that arsha means hemorrhoids, piles. Right? There are 6 categories of hemorrhoids. As you know that, if you know about the Ayurveda, Vataja, Pittaja, Kapaja, then Raktaja, Sannipataja, and Sahaja. So these are the some categories. When it comes to Western medicine, it's not like that. You know that they don't categorize like this. They, you know that according to their concept, right? It's a different system. So that's why when you are developing research on these things, we have to carefully think and we have to adhere these incommensurable factors also. We cannot avoid these things when you are designing your research. Then again, the dynamic nature of the treatment protocol. As you know that when it comes to the treatment protocols, especially it's differ according to the changes in prakriti, changes in disease characteristics. Then again, as you know that Amanirama states, right? In Ayurveda, it's clearly said that when you are developing your treatment protocols, you have to think about the personal situation. This patient is with Ama or Nirama. There is a basement in lots of diseases. I put here rheumatoid arthritis. We can correlate, you know that not exactly Amavata, but when it comes to cancer and other sort of disorders, all these are based on this Amanirama concept. We can talk a little bit deeper, right? I'm actually going superficially, right? So and again, the change in mental state, especially the change in climate. All these are very important when you are developing your treatment protocols. Not like Western medicine, when you are taking, for example, the paracetamol, right? You can take it at any time, right? But when you are taking decoction, you have to think about lots of things, right? Even the mental status of the patient, right? Sometimes climatic factors, right? Sometimes disease characteristics, it's changed according to the body situation, body condition, right? All these come to play when you are designing the research and also when you are practicing, especially. Clinical research is very important. We have to think about all these factors. Then again, incommensurability of treatment approaches, especially we are based on sometimes Chikitsa Sutra, for example, Pakshagata, we call it stroke. Then again, we have to think about the Shodhana and Shamana therapies, different approaches. Not like in Western medicine. That's why it's very difficult to make a design, the research modality for our systems of medicine. Within that, we are thinking this is not scientific. We cannot say like that because we don't have study designing methods. So then again, the research outcomes, assessment, international medicine. You can see here, according to the definition of health in Ayurveda, our aims are Dirghaya, we call it longevity. Sukhaya, quality of life. Hitaya, peaceful coexistence with the society and nature. These are our outcomes. Right? If you give him the medicine in correct manner, he can live longer with good quality of life. And also he can engage with the community, peaceful coexistence with the society and nature. So when it comes to Western medicine, it's not like that. We are much targeting on efficacy. Every time when you are doing under researching, you have to target what these drugs. If you are taking the drugs for maybe let's say that fever, we are thinking about antipyretic effect. End of our outcome is there. In Ayurvedic system, it's not like that. Basically, we have to think about the patient conditions, how their quality of life improvements, then again how they exist with their society, right? All these things are come to play. So our treatment outcomes is different. So then our research outcomes will be different. So some can see here the balance in prakriti may be an outcome in our research context. Then again, achieving sattvic state of mind may be an objective sometimes. So you can see that different parameters we have to adhere. So hopefully maybe some researchers in here, maybe you can understand well, right? What I'm talking about here, right? So this is very important factors. These are when you are designing your research. So then again, we'll see that this traditional medicine research can be used in conventional framework. This is very important. As a note I put here, the investigators should be aware of any potential errors that may occur when studying traditional medicine out of context and without references to its traditional theories and concepts. Keep in mind that. So what I told now, up to now, you have to adhere that. Right? You know that within the novel concept, novel research concept, sometimes we are missing these things. So we have to think about new design methods to the traditional systems of medicine. Still, we are not designed that. That is the problem. That is the issue, right? That's why we are thinking we cannot do our traditional medical research with conventional framework. It's not like that. I will show you my experiences, right, in later stage. So the selection of patients, how to get the sample, right? Then again using placebos, maybe when you are developing drugs, especially the taste is very important in Ayurveda, right? The smell would interfere with the outcomes, right? How to avoid these things when you are developing placebos, especially, right? Because Ayurveda based on some sort of concept, right? We have to protect those concepts. Then again, the using an inert oil in enema, maybe Vasti call it, method of purification could influence outcomes sometimes, right? So you can see when you are engaged in research in different contexts, we have to think about these aspects also. Then the blind assessments. You know that when Western medicine research, especially double-blind RCTs are the best. Actually, it's the truth, right? But sometimes these systems, when you are doing research in our systems, we cannot engage this double-blinding, and you know that it's not says that we cannot do research, right? But there are some research design systems we can add here. There are, I'm not talking today those things. There are blind systems available, right? Double randomized method systems available, different techniques. Actually, we are doing in my clinical research center in Colombo. Actually, we developed recently, we are involved in that, these trials in different ways, especially when it comes to the MDs, PhDs, and other postgraduate level, even normal level, the teaching and learning research is very important, right, in our context. Then blinding, I told you that how to blind when Chodhan is involved, right? Difficult to blind a physician when using the patient individualized treatment modalities, right? Those are the basic things actually we cannot touch sometimes. Then again, the methodologies for research and evaluation of traditional medicine should be based on the following basic principles. When you are designing your research, should guarantee the safety and efficacy of herbal medicines and traditional procedures-based therapies. It is a must nowadays, because when you are especially designing new drugs, right, we have to think about safety and efficacy. Because nowadays all these patents are governed by the ethics committees and country regulations, right? So, however, they should not become obstacles to the application and development of traditional medicine. That's another thing, because we have to find out the way of doing. Right? We are not finding the way of doing, and we are telling that we cannot do this. This is incorrect. Because we have to think about this concept, and we have to design the new research methodologies. Then again, outcome measures. Every time, as I told you, that traditional medicine relies on holistic approach. The conventional efficacy assessment measures may not be adequate in that case, because every time when you are doing research on Western medicine aspects, we are thinking about the efficacy. But beyond that, we have to think about manas, our sharira, then again our atma, right? How these are incorporate the holistic approach. All these things are very important when we are designing these outcome measures. So, how to overcome these issues then? So, understanding the incommensurability of this science and room to incorporate the fundamental approaches is that answer. So in planning and protocol development in research, in reviewing research, all these steps, we have to think about this incommensurability of this science. So within that, we have to make sure our designing pattern, how we know what are the engagement we can do with these systems is very important. So I'm a little bit like to talk about the Sri Lankan traditional medicine research. Maybe up to now I talk about the common pattern, right? The concept behind these things. Sometimes what I'm telling you will be deep. Maybe you cannot understand sometimes at once, right? Maybe you can read more and get more knowledge in these systems. It's very important before doing any sort of research. So I would like to a little bit talk about traditional medicine research in Sri Lanka. Because I involved in this review in traditional medicine research in Sri Lanka in 2015 to 2019. This is our country report. Actually, I involved with Dr. Susan Grant from Australia with the World Health Organization. We actually this is the only country report available up to now about the research on country-based research what we are doing. So it's published in World Health Organization 2021. So this is the thing that you can read in this well, then you can get good knowledge. Actually, when it comes to Sri Lankan medicine, holistically, we are telling Ayurveda, Sri Lankan Ayurveda. It consists of different systems. Ayurveda, then again, Siddha medicine, Unani medicine, and we call it Deshi Chikitsa. This is our indigenous medicine system, right? So not only that, there are some other systems approved by the other Asian countries. All come together. It's one umbrella term in Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan Ayurveda. So from the Ayurvedic Act in 1961, this is actually the first country that having a separate ministry for traditional medicine. Right? When it comes to even India, they are combined with the Western medicine and that related ministry. Now actually it's come now one umbrella in Sri Lanka. Earlier we had a different ministry, right? So when it comes to research, every time in our country, it's governed by the Sri Lankan Code of Conduct of Health Research, like Western medicine is doing. So there are international guidelines we have to adhere, ethics review committee guidelines we have to adhere. So then again, this medicine governed by these ethics review committees, and there are some laws and regulations, especially good clinical practices, we call GCP. And then when you are doing special clinical research, drug research, you have to register your trial on clinical trial registry, WHO accepted trial registries. Those are common norms now. You know that we are thinking about these traditional medicines. Earlier, actually, we are not thinking these patterns, but now we correctly we have to adhere and we have to protect the patients, because every time you know that these systems also evolving. We are developing new formulas, new modalities, new protocols, right? Treatment protocols. All these things should come with these systems. Then I will not talk about too much of these things, right? You can see all this scoping review of our country. Then what are the things that we done, right? Especially clinical trials, especially the case reports is very high because of the nature of this. Because every time you know that when it comes to these modalities, is based on prakriti, the patient situations, the patient's body constitution. That's why the case reports, case studies are very much high. So within that, we have to go a bit further and do good trials, right? The trial designings as a country. So anyway, that nowadays we have to adhere to this cycle. Right? This we call clinical product innovation cycle, especially when you are developing new herbal medicines. Right? When you are doing research, we have to adhere these guidelines, especially standard product developments you need, ethics, then trial registry, then again data management, product registration, then again safety parameters. All these are very important nowadays, but keep in mind, you have to adhere our own concept also, right? We cannot avoid those things. Otherwise, it's it's more like a Western medicine. Otherwise, right? So then again, there are some operational guidelines, information needed to support clinical trials of herbal products. It's developed by and that it's a Command World Bank project and WHO project, right? So when you are developing the protocols, especially you have to obey the laws and regulations of your country, ethical standards, GCP. All these things are very essential nowadays when you are developing any sort of clinical research. So not only that, when again pharmacovigilance and drug safety is very important, right? Especially as you know that Uppsala Center in Sweden, they all are, I mean that behind all these drugs, especially that the science and activities and research involving this detection, evaluation, understanding, prevention of adverse drug reactions. This is very essential nowadays. Keep in mind that. You know that all this involvement, maybe we can see it as a Western angle, right? But correctly, if you are done it in good manner, right, and in correct manner, right, we can adhere these things to our systems also. This is very essential. So all these things actually I talk about a bit speedy way, right? So to keep you alive, and maybe you can ask lots of questions, right? So now I'm talking about the success stories, what we are doing in our country, right? What we did and what we are doing, right? I'm not talking all these things because now it's actually highly published, all these materials now. It's one trial that actually we did, the efficacy of 2 Ayurvedic drug regimens for ultra fibroid. Is a randomized single-blind 3-arm clinical trial study protocol. Actually, this method we did adhering some Western medicine study design, but we are not. I mean that reduce our concept also, right? When you read these articles, you can find what we did. That is the first trial. Actually, I will proudly say that done in Ayurveda, especially. In this level, especially we registered in the trial registry, WHO accepted trial registry, so European registry. Then again, we did this trial with all the norms. When you are considering the globe, this is the first trial actually when it comes to the Ayurvedic concerns, the special concerns of the fibroids, right? So we got good results in this trial, right? We use actually not a single drug. It's like comparing two systems. Like a Western system, we are doing operations. Our system, we are giving drugs, right? And we are comparing two systems. Right? That type of research model we used in this trial is very important. It's actually we are integrated with the Western pathology also to get some help. To get down some patients. Then again, this trial is another trial we did for the efficacy and safety of 2 Ayurvedic dosage forms, so allergic rhinitis. This is actually completed now in my university. We are now trying to put this drug to the market. It's a Ayurvedic drug, right? This is our logo, right? We got this IPR protected manner. You know that when from the university level, we have to do it in that manner, right? So, because this is very important when you are doing this type of research. This is also the first trial actually related to the, especially the allergic rhinitis. This is very important. In Ayurveda, you can find this type of, I mean that diseases, right? Especially concerns, you know, the pollen count is very high in some areas, especially in UK, Japan, all those countries. Is very, you know, allergy is very high, right? So you can use these drugs very, I mean, in that type of disease conditions, right? We proven that this has a good effects than Western medicine. Actually, we compared with the Loratadine of Western drug, we got good results. And this is actually our traditional medicine. We did this research. Then again, it's another trial we did for the diabetes mellitus, right? Madhume, right? Still, we are doing some research. We need some more evidences. Actually, we conduct one trial. There are some other clinical trials involved in this. Then again, this is another product we develop, acute and subchronic oral safety profile of Sudarshan suspension. This is very famous one that actually in COVID season is very highly popular with our country. It has a high bitterness value, right? And in Sudarshan, right? As you know that it has we call it Hindingkoma in Sinhala, right? You know that that plant is very bitter, right? So in COVID season, actually, we engaged with our university level, especially our university business link. We put into this drug into the market. Right? Now it's available in the market, right? So then again, we did some work on this oral cancer. It's very high in Asian countries, especially. So because of chewing tobacco, right? The quid is very, you know, that it's highly this tobacco is a very problematic condition, right? Now we are doing more research on this. We developed this. We call it bulat sape, right? Bulat sape is a beetle. That avoid this tobacco. We developed this sachet because every time people are chewing, they cannot avoid this thing, right? So if you eat good thing, right, you can avoid this type of disease conditions. So nowadays we are doing again this trial. This is somewhat totally two systems. We are comparing Western system and Ayurvedic system. This efficacy and safety of Sri Lankan traditional medicine regime for knee osteoarthritis. Actually, now we published the study protocol and we are doing research now. You know that when it comes to Sandhigata Vata, we call it in Ayurveda, right? Osteoarthritis, right? This is very famous one. There's no cure actually. The management is very poor in Western pattern, right? But in Ayurvedic system, we do have some sort of management for this. So we are proving this. Actually, we are comparing total concept of Western medicine, then total concept of Ayurvedic medicine in this research. So then other research involved in this polycystic ovary syndrome in Ayurveda. Drugs we are involved in this trial. This is recently we initiated this trial. Now it's ongoing. So these are the advancement actually done what we in this time framework. So then again, I want to proudly say that in my faculty we develop this unit for research and development of natural products, including Ayurveda, herbal medicine, and research. All aspects we are covering this unit. So anybody have interest can engage with to the Dr. Deepika. We are, you know, that very much appreciate, you know, engaging this type of research with you all. If you can come to Sri Lanka and maybe some collaborations, right? We are really like to do. So not only this product development, right? Many other research aspects we are concerning in this unit. So those are the things actually basically I want to tell you within that this limited time framework. As a whole, I can say that when it comes to this research, especially in Ayurvedic systems of medicine and traditional systems of medicine, nowadays is highly thriving, and it has a fast track. This research is happening now. We are proving the past, right? The evidence-based manner. This is very important. So I think that if you have any questions that we can share our knowledge and anything. So I would like to give the audience to the Dr. Deepika.
Thank you, Professor Kamal. I think that has shed a lot of light on research developments. I think we've all learned things that we didn't know about what's been going on, and it feels like very much going on in the background. So if you have some questions, please raise your hand and we will spotlight you. And while we wait for questions, there's just one thing I wanted to mention to Professor Kamal. This research is very much, I think, needed to demonstrate how Ayurveda works to especially people in the West, and even in countries like India and Sri Lanka, where they're more relying now on allopathic Western medicines. Now the question seems to be, where this research is going on, what are your thoughts on the best way to publicize the results of this research so that it actually reaches the eyes and ears of people who need the treatment?
Yeah. So actually, when it comes to this, all the research we are published. Generally you can find these research works. That there are some limitations sometimes. When it comes to the especially Western thinking pattern, right? It's different, but that's why I'm going to emphasize this, right? The research is somewhat different sometimes with the Western aspects, especially traditional and Ayurvedic systems. But when it comes to this new modalities, right, new concept, right, it's eye-opening to everyone. So that's why we thought to do more on this research, especially WHO concerns, especially World Health Organization concerns. They are actually very much helpful us to given these opportunities every time. So it's give some sort of spreading these medical systems, not only the drugs, the concept, and also that Ayurveda is some sort of holistic approach, which I already told you now. So those things are very essential to work out, especially meditation, yoga, then again other systems, how we eat, how we that live with the society, right? As you know that in Ayurveda it says that the very famous quote, Samadosha Samagnisha Samadhatu Manakriya Prasannatmindya Manak Swastha Ityavadiyati. So that's mean you are completely, if you want to live with harmony, right? So your body humors should with your equilibrium. So with this equilibrium, so you can work with other things also. Maybe you can get rid of metabolic syndromes. Maybe you can get rid of mental disorders. You can live with the community with harmony, right? All these aspects, right, are nowadays the research points. Because we had to do more research to prove these things nowadays because of our thinking pattern sometimes. But my thinking is it's very good thing because evidences are very important to survive and develop any sort of systems. So because we in those days, which I show you that when it comes to Sri Lanka, right, King Buddhadana, he did lots of research, right, to get down these medical formulas. Right? Likewise, now we had to do it. And we had to prove it. So this is our thinking pattern. In my, especially in my faculty, we are giving this concept, these modalities to young generation. Then in future, they all are come with some sort of research and can be popular. Then everybody can rely on these systems of medicines.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for the lecture. It's really informative and really interesting. And I would like to ask you about the when you do the research, the variables, like the constitution and the variables, like the different constitution can have different disorders, and the applications, like medicine is works differently, each constitution and disorders, and lots of variables applied to the researchers, and then that case, there are any loopholes we can go through to, like to actually prove or actually give that, our researchers some kind of the gravity. Actually, we can present this one in a public forum, like a scientific forum kind of thing, because that when you fundamentals of the Ayurveda is based on Vata Pitta Kapha, the constitutional, and then if somebody is not adapting or recognize that the fundamentals, how do we get our research into a public and scientific forums?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Dr. Deepika. Actually, that's why I correctly said that these are like genomic medicines, right? Nowadays, the Islamic medicine is very highly recognized systems, high profile. So, likewise, when you are doing our research, we cannot avoid those things. This incommensurability of these aspects, right? We have to think that, and we have to design our research accordingly. As you correctly said, that the tridosha, especially Vata, Pitta, Kapha, right? Or without thinking that pattern, right? The individual characters. Sometimes you know that these seven constitutions, physical constitution, then again three attributes, manas attributes, we call it manas attributes, right? Psychiatrically, we have to think that. Then again, in Western medicine, we can categorize man and women, maybe another two or three, right? Categories. In Ayurveda, it's not like that. We have to categorize maybe seven body constitution, again three mental aspects, right? So it's a what I call that very complex study design. We are doing this, but we can do that definitely. We can do this type of research. But only thing is that who is pumping the money, right? So in the case, right? So then again, you know that as this crisis in the whole world now, right? So all these aspects, you know that it's like a dream now, right? So we need to. This sometimes we think that this is a rocket science, but this is not a rocket science. Right? It's a very simple thing, right? We know that we do have the evidences, but we have to gather this and we have to and then present it nicely. I think that's a hand raised in.
Yes, Halo.
Yes, yes, sir.
Hi, Professor.
Hi.
Thanks
Yes.
so much for that talk. It was very interesting. And I worked in cancer research for quite a long time before I started studying Ayurveda, and they do try to do this one size fits all for patients. And you know, I saw the rollout of a lot of cancer therapies that just did not work in the patients that we had at our hospitals, and it was tragic, and partly the reason, well, main reason why I left. But I was just wondering, what has been the response from the Western medicine world with the work that you're doing, and what kind is it making any impact in the Western hospitals, or will we always be kind of separate from them? What's been your kind of experience with that?
Yeah. Can you tell me the last one? It's cracked. Your sound is cracked a little bit.
Yeah, not a great mic, sorry. Like, what has been the impact that you're having in Western medicine, and what has been kind of the response from the Western medicine world? Are we being taken seriously, or is it a lot of closed doors? Like, what has been your
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, I got your point. That basically, you know that in country like us, that you know that lots of medical systems involving. I can correctly say that Western medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Unani medicine, Siddha medicine, then acupuncture, homeopathy, then again our own traditional medicine, then again another some sort of community medicine like Ayurvedic medicine. There are different type categorical medical systems. They all are survive. The patients integrated already, right? Even the Western medicine is, we are thinking to integrate these systems, but patients concerned, they already integrated all these medicines. They know that in different categories, different aspects, right? How to deal with these diseases, in which modalities is the best, right? Now I'm doing that type of research to collect the data from the patient, right? So we can get the ideas from the patients. Maybe I would like to invite you, if you like, you can join with us, right, in future. So because we are trying to sort out these things from the patient's concerns, right? Because whoever is telling, it's biased to their systems. Even sometimes I'm biased to traditional medicine, right? Western people is biased to Western medicine, right? So when it comes to patients' concerns, they are not biased to anyone, right? So they need to get rid of this disease they are suffering, right? So that is the best point to do the research, right? So in my view, that in Sri Lanka, this the Western medicine fraternity, right? Now they are come up with us. They are joined hand to hand, do research. You can see that, which I show you, that different trials, right? Very few trials actually I've shown you. There are another more trials happening now in our country, because they actually they got some sort of evidence with that. Actually, if you think about our country, we go a little bit back, right? We all are survived with this traditional medicine. Still we are surviving. In rural area, 70% of still the people are rely on these things. They live more than sometimes that who is taking the Western medicine because of this bad adverse reaction side effects. It's caused lots of problem to the society. Right? The modality is actually the preventive modality should we have to adhere, especially nowadays we are adhere every time curative model, right? After getting disease, we are getting medicine, right? Before get this disease, you have to think about yourself, right? This is a system that Ayurveda and traditional medicine study, right? Now the Western medicine people also get convinced with these systems. Day by day, it's increasing. So it's a good thing to our that community. Is it okay, Harry? Maybe you are mute, right?
Yeah, that was amazing, thank you. And if there's any way that we can help over here, the students of Dr. Deepika would be more than happy to help. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Please come with us and join with us through Dr. Deepika, right? She's that connectivity. So
we'd love to.
She's the bridge now, right? Yes.
Yeah, I think there's an Ayurvedic revolution about to take place, so I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hey, Marlene, you have loads of questions for me. Why don't you ask a question from
Okay.
Dr. Kamal?
I have been debating whether I raise my hand, so okay, here we go. I'm curious because in Western science, there is this new research being done around the microbiome of the gut, and I feel like that's still relatively new. I'm not from a medical background, so I'm not, forgive me if I'm not fully up to date there, but I've been talking to some people who do research in that field, and I've been wondering whether that could be a crossing, a section where Western medicine and Ayurveda, which is so focused on the Agni, where they collide, and could that be a way?
Asking a professor to say,
Where was that agenda?
Yes, you can go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
We can hear you. Yes. Yes, Marlene.
Sorry, I wasn't sure whether there was some overlap or something, but yeah, I was wondering whether that could be a way where, like a pathway where Ayurveda could go into this field of Western medicine specifically and do some research together with people who research the microbiome of the gut. Is that something you have explored already, or?
Yeah, it's like that. Basically, in my research team, we did such a research, right? You know that the gut is like a brain. I've heard that. Lots of nervous endings are there. You know that, as correctly said in Ayurveda, Agni is very important, right? Agni is basically Jatragni. We call it Jatragni, right? Jatragni means in Ayurveda is the first Agni, the first metabolism happening in your body, right? It's happening in your gut, right? If you eat some foods, right? So in Ayurvedic system, we are much concerned of the foods, how this digest these things, because we know that there's a linkage between brain and our guts because of this connectivity. As you know that correctly, if you planted a plant in a pot, what happened, right? They don't have the interconnectivity with the soil, right? Where your plant, every time you have to put the water and you have to protect it, otherwise it's died. Right? Likewise, if you can correctly, if you interconnected with your gut to other areas of your body, right? Body channels, we call it srotas in Ayurveda, body channels, right? Micro channels, right? So it will be very easily, get rid of these diseases, right? There's this concept actually generated in thousands of years. Still, it survived because you know that in modern science, actually, when it comes to research, they are proving these things nowadays. every time. So what they are proving is the past, right? So this is a thing that that's why the Ayurveda is still survive in good manner. That if you adhere in correct manner, as you correctly said, the microbiome and our gut is very important to make feel you in good manner, in good environment, right? So is it okay, Mari, that maybe I hope that you got some points from me, right? Maybe you can involve with us in future, right? I invite you to Sri Lanka, right? You can see what
Thank you so much. Be careful. I am German, so I might always actually take you up on the invitation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mari. So, anyone else?
No, I think that's all the questions for now. I think that our students may be hesitating to ask. I'm sure you have some. Yeah, Hari.
Yeah, Hari, right? Hari, yes, Hari. Maybe you're muted, right? Yes.
Hi, hi, Professor. Thank you for this evening. I've got two questions.
Yes,
Do
Hari.
you think we're going back to the future somewhat, where you're kind of imitating the work of Charaka, Sushruta, etc., where they did trial and error, etc., and you're kind of doing it in a modern day aspect? And do you think also, my second question is, do you think also there's opportunity there for Ayurveda to be integrated with other forms of healing and technology? There's lots out there coming with like frequency and bioresonance, etc. So I'm also a bioresonance practitioner as well, and I'm using some of that to bring it to life for patients, where Ayurveda is very intuitive and sometimes the patient doesn't understand what you're talking about, whereas I just plug them in the machine and I can show them everything that's going on inside their body.
So yes, actually, as you correctly said that, right? So anyway, that we, in my thinking that nowadays any medicine is integrated by the patients. So they are the current victims, right? So they are using that because they want to get rid of these disease conditions. You know that the European comes to my country, they eat and drink these decoctions, right? They do panchakarma purifications, right? You know that last week, 3 days actually I did Vamana karma to who is come from the Europe, right? So they all are now come up with that. They think that, right, this modality is very important, right, in Ayurvedic system, right? What we are talking about, especially as you correctly said that this we can integrate these systems, right? If you not integrated, the patient is integrating, right? That is the thing, right, happening in the world, right? So the new maybe medicine is generating now. My thinking, new pattern is coming, new medical system is coming, right? Because these all are evolving, right? Even the Charak Sushruta, and then again, we all are doing these things, right? So one day, these systems may be changing, right? Every time, not only that Western medicine, also the Ayurveda is the same, right? But the concept behind these things still survive. That is a very important fact, right? For an example, if you do the good purification, Vamana karma, before starting any sort of treatment, especially concerned, we say that charma roga, we call it in skin disorders, right? If you do it in purification and clear these channels, we call it srotas, right? It's like an engine, your body, right? If you clean up your receptors and modalities, right? So your drug is working very nicely in your body. The same concept is happening in the Western medicine, but only different is that Western medicine having only one target, right? One receptor targets. Maybe if you are a molecular biologist, maybe you know sometimes. That's why it's caused lots of that adverse reactions, sometimes unwanted problems, right? But in Ayurveda medicine, it's not like that. Yeah, we are targeting holistic way, right? We are not targeting one receptor, right? There are different receptors we are targeting. Right? We are balancing our doshas, right? What the environment is doing, right? You know that the shloka called Visarga Dana Vikshepai Som Surindayata Dharayanti Jakaddeyan Kapapittan Lastata. That is the shloka, we call it, right? In that shloka, it says that as the environment is running in their thing, the same as our body is running. So there's an interconnection in the environment with and us. So likewise, the integrity and this integration is automatically that happening in the world. So no one can stop that, right? Because this is a patient need, right? Patient need. Hope you got my question to answer, right? From my side.
Yes.
Hari?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. Just to go back to my first question, do you see yourself as a Charaka, Sushruta, like the greats of the past, where you're now doing all this clinical research, etc., and the work you do will just add to that compendium of Ayurveda?
You mean that can I just go back a little bit? The cracking is happening. That's why. Sorry about it. Can you?
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying, like, do you think the work that you're doing now is similar to like Charaka, Sushruta, etc., and what you're doing in a modern sense with the clinical trials will just add to that knowledge of Ayurveda?
Yeah, yes, actually, because the you know that those places, in my thinking, yes, they all are done this type of research. That's why these books are developed, right? You know that it's not just a trial and error, right? There are some concept behind this. That's why they built these formulas, right? Because you know that when comes this concept, right? The rasa concept, guna concept, right? There are different type of concept in Ayurveda, right? All these concepts you cannot that develop at once, right? They are different. Definitely there should be a research they have done. The same thing we have to do, and we have to preserve these things in different angles, right? So in my view, we are doing that. We are adhering all those concepts. We don't we don't need to tarnish that those concepts, right? We have to preserve, and we have to add some more and give the evidences to the world. That is things that we are targeting.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. And Irene.
Hi, hello, and thank you so much, Professor Kamal, for taking the time to share your knowledge with us. What I would like to share is like a question, and at the same time is maybe like just sharing a reflection that is also a bit of a fear of mine. For me, I have the deepest respect for Ayurvedic medicine and for all the cultures where Ayurvedic medicine is practiced. And I have a deep love in general for South Asia, and I look at it with such a huge respect. And for me, one of my mission is to make the people that I can reach in the West, in the country where I am, to wake up and look at the East, to understand and to find the answers that we've been looking for, that I feel that the East has way more deeper knowledge and understanding that we Westerners have. And my fear is that the East is trying to make the West wake up. Forgive me my simplification of how I'm trying to explain. My fear is that like I see Ayurveda as something so deep and complex, and trying to do research in the West way, which is based on quantitative data and just based on statistics. And it has tunnel vision. It doesn't have the capacity like Ayurveda has to look at the bigger pictures and the complexity of the human being. My fear is that it's like trying to fit a universe into a little box to then try to let the Westerner understand that this is valuable. And there is not enough space in the Western way of making research to actually have an idea about the vastness of Ayurveda. So that's my concern. But at the same time, I come from a medical background, and I also look for research in the database, in PubMed, whenever I want to understand something, but just to translate it to the Westerner that don't want to understand that Ayurveda actually is a way more reliable science than our science. So forgive me for being for making such a long premise, just because there's so much that I would like to try to convey. So the kind of question is, don't you fear as well that like yoga, for example, it's such a vast knowledge, The West comes in, take it, and asana is all it comes out of it. And then now yoga is like 99% of people don't understand anything about yoga because we only have asana, which is 1/8 of what yoga is. And so my fear is that are you scared as well in some way that trying to do research in the Western way on Ayurveda may actually damage Ayurveda more than give it kind of reliability? What's your take on this? If my question was clear in any way for you or for anybody else?
Yes, actually you correctly said that. I'm also feared a little bit, right? Because we are doing the wrong thing sometimes. Because still, as you correctly said, there's no parameters. That big picture we cannot get of this Ayurveda still. Because it's this knowledge is gathered from the thousands of years. Time to time, they have done trial and error methods. Then they write and they that come up with some solutions. Right? There are some concepts. All these things now scattered in those days. Now it's come a little bit towards some end. Right? We are thinking like that, but it's not like that. As I correctly said, in Ayurveda, we cannot say 1 + 1 is 2, right? Maybe sometimes it's more than that, right? There's no any parameters. But in some contexts, especially drug research, as you know that in any system is survive with these drugs and medicines, right? All these, concept. Sometimes we need somewhat research. That otherwise this patient concerns is very important, right? Adverse reactions and those things. But in Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, they correctly say these things, right? And they also feared about these adverse drug reactions. If you go through this correctly, we call it Draviguna Vinyana. It's totally they are assigning these drugs, how these preparations is doing. How we involve in this, what type of prakriti we can involve in these drugs, what type of prakriti we have to avoid these drugs. Likewise, different thinking pattern of these books if you go a bit deeper. But there are some other concepts, like you said that yoga, meditation, right? These are still untouchable, right? We don't have enough study design modalities to prove these things. But in my thinking, we don't need to prove sometimes, right? This is a day-to-day life thing, right? Not like drugs, right? So that's why the Ayurveda has that beauty, right? Because this context have the live things, right? Live things like meditation, yoga, then again how we eat, right? And also that somewhat artificial entities like drugs, right? Even we are taking these things from the live pharmacies. You know that, for example, Sri Lanka is like a live pharmacy. If you go behind our homes, we can find lots of medicines, trees, these plants, that we just chop and drink, right? So it's like a live pharmacy. But when this current situation, all these aspects are changing, right? World is go behind the other side. Nowadays, we don't have these live pharmacies anymore in some countries, right? So within that aspects, we need to do some research in some, within this limited knowledge, right? But in my view, that in future, hopefully we can develop new design systems that protect these systems research, right? Otherwise, if you target all these aspects with Western angles, right? These systems can collapse, as you correctly said. So we are trying to do that also, right? Especially we are thinking how this engagement is done in correct manner, right? Traditional and Western medicine integration, right? It's not easy task, right? But in somewhat, especially drug concerns and adverse reaction concerns, we have to conduct this type of research to the sake of humanity. Hope, Irene, you got some points from me. Definitely, please join with us. I hope you have good ideas because you are come with the medical background, right? So we can join what we are doing, and we can discuss in a little bit deeper. And actually, I'm very much happy to take that as one of our research in our research team in future. Definitely.
Thank you. I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor. I'm a physiotherapist, so it's different. And I did other type of therapies in the medical field. But yeah, thank you so much. I would be super honored to manage to meet you and come to Sri Lanka. And yes, thank you for your work. And I hope that people like you manage to make the Ayurveda be seen as the reliable, immense science that it is, but without being too stained by the Western approach. That was my main concern. So yeah, let's try to be all part of a good change, and let's hopefully make other people wake up for this knowledge. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Irene.
Thank you, Irene. And I think Anam Ayurveda is Oscar, who is a medical doctor.
Hi, thank you, Professor. And my question was what Irene asked. So I really I did respect your answer. Was very, very good. And I don't really have a question so much other than a comment, which is reflecting what you said, that the type of research that we're associated with in medical kind of conventional medicine is very much skewed towards what's called that randomized control trial, double-blind control trial, which is the gold standard that we assess new medications. And all other types of research and trials are regarded as inferior. Unfortunately, with Ayurveda, as you pointed out, it's difficult to do a randomized control trial because the treatments don't fit into that neat little tablet and, a dummy tablet. So we're struggling trying to catch up to produce the same quality of evidence, quantitative kind of numbers-based evidence that people can kind of jump up and say, yes, we can safely say this works very well and so on and publish it and that. But as you pointed out quite rightly, there are lots of other types of trials that we can use in Ayurveda that are just single blind trials and various other ones that give you a lower kind of degree of accuracy. But if there's more of them, as happens, you build the evidence accordingly with just the volume of well-designed, basically simpler types of trials and research. So and that's what happens in Western medicine as well, where they crunch lots of data through these computer programs to come up with meta-analysis, which they use lots of different types of poor quality or different inferior quality research to come up with conclusions. So there's lots of, I feel in some ways what you're trying to do is you're trying to prove what you already know through the thousands of years of observation and description in the Ayurvedic texts. So it is kind of difficult to kind of do that in a scientific way because it's already there from the thousands of years. But I appreciate what you're doing, and I hope that we can help you in any way. And what we're doing is just by listening and by passing on what you're trying to do and looking at it from an Ayurvedic point of view, that there is a possibility of developing research. I'm very encouraged. So thank you very much. I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you very much. I welcome you. Can join with us in future, definitely. Yes, I would love to do that. Yes, lovely. But listen, I think your answer was wonderful to Lena. That was very, very good. And I just really was clarifying what you said for people that mightn't have understood the issue of the problems that are associated with kind of what we regard as medical research that go, those gold standard trials and what's happening in Ayurveda. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes. Can I say a little bit one thing? 25 years of practicing in here, I know that that Irene's point I'm taking in here because Western world is always trying to extract the active ingredient of the herbs and make some kind of pills or some kind of thing and do the research accordingly. But it's like some things like, you know, the sarpaganda, what happened to that, you know, the plant, they patent and have a, you know, nifedipine tablet, and it is not having buffers, it didn't work, you know, and then altogether sarpaganda is a prohibited plant in the UK and everywhere. And things can happen as well, matter of, you know, the people found out, you know, through researches, one kind of element in herbs is working, and then we can extract and then make some kind of profitable drug revenue to everybody, you know, kind of thing. And it's so hard to define that, keep the authenticity and then and not diluting the Ayurveda. And it is like this science has to be remaining to our future and our children and our so on, you know, for our people, because why, you know, the COVID time and the other difficult time, we knew that people have rely on alternative medicine, and it's helped a lot, you know, to people to, because you know, in our clinic as well, 5,000 people who registered, we were treated COVID for that, you know, with the traditional medicine, but you know, like not diluting the science of Ayurveda. We have to preserve in Western world, and that is my utter aim. Because why, if it is not, it is one day Ayurveda becoming like the yoga now is in the Western world.
And I think this is the point. Actually, it's an analogous. What they try to extract the active ingredient from something. They're trying to extract the active ingredient from Ayurveda. They tried to extract the active ingredient from the yogic sciences. And unsurprisingly, with yoga, I think all the practitioners here know it doesn't work to just do the asana. The number of patients coming to this clinic with disorders either caused by or aggravated by heavy duty asana practices without any regard to the entire science and way of life that surrounds these practices. So this is very much analogous, the methodology in the West.
Because it's like a practice in Ayurveda 25 years, I know the pathway it's going. I can really change myself, and I can go for a huge, you know, like marketing place and sell all the drugs, you know, like this one good for this and that. But it's just a way of, you know, like how do we understand correctly the lifestyle and diet, and then how we live, and like Dr. You know, Kamal says, you know, loads of, you know, the end goal is not just the longevity, and again the people have to live happily ever after kind of thing. Health and happiness go together, you know. And I wanted to ask about you, Professor Kamal, you know, what is your opinion about diluting Ayurveda in Western world and active ingredient? We derive active ingredients, and what will happen to Ayurveda in future?
It's like this, Dr. Deepika. You know that when it comes to the Western prescriptions, right? So they are taking out all these ingredients. Then again, they are combining. Right? They are giving maybe 10 drugs again, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically it's you know that unfortunately they are lost of money to when it comes to the drug development pipeline, right? So they are developing single entity molecule drugs. But what the Western practitioners is doing, then again they are giving as a mixture, right? They are mixing maybe 2 to 4 drugs. Sometimes is that add vitamins, right? Different things, right? So again they are combined. That means they are mixing, right? So Ayurveda is correctly said that, you know, that we don't need to purify in the ultimate end, right? Because every time the Ayurveda is a fraction-based medicine, we are taking that. For example, if you take a decoction, it's like an extract, but it's an extract is not a pure extract, right? It's a combination, right? The decoction is an extract, basically. It's a water extract, right? Yeah. So this water extract basically is contain thousands of these molecules, right? If you eat maybe ashwagandha, right? Maybe we'll say that, as you correctly said, sarpagandha, right? Sarpagandha is totally different if you extracted sarpagandha and pure sarpagandha, right? Extracted ashwagandha has lots of adverse reaction side effects because you know that the combination is very important, right, in this modality. That's why Ayurveda correctly said that this combinations, medicines, is very important. It's like a company, right? In our decoction is like a company. There's a leader, right? For example, if you take a triple R, right? Maybe we'll say that some other decoction, maybe 12 ingredient decoction. Maybe one is a leader, others are, I mean, that who is supporters, right, on this decoction, right? So all should go together. Right? Otherwise, the system is collapsed. So that's why Ayurveda is never, I mean, that thing, the more purification is the correct method, right? So not only the drugs, right, as you correctly said, the lifestyle, then again, the food pattern, right, all these things, right? We have to combine and use, right? Because Ayurveda is not never said that you know that only the yoga, only the meditation, only the drugs we can cure the patient, right? If you I'm concerned about the patient's concerns, right? Not the healthy person's concerns, right? Healthy person, as a healthy person, you have to do much about preventive things. Maybe you have to think about your lifestyle changes, yoga, meditation, food habits. But when it comes to patient concerns, we have to think about how these drugs and others are combined and used. Right? There is a correct method of Ayurvedic usage. There are some questions actually raised by some anything.
Malin, yeah. I think that might be the last question, Malin.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Thank you so much for everything so far. I'm just curious about artificial intelligence and Ayurveda. Has there been any first steps in that direction?
Yes, actually, I'm telling you that this especially concerns the traditional Chinese medicine, right? So they are going behind this artificial intelligence, right? But in Ayurvedic system, still not, because we, you know, that we think about the, you know, that liability and how these things are that contact with your live mechanisms in your body, right? So maybe it's AI is good, right? To I mean that combine, but in my thinking, if you combine with the AI too much, right, it's become a problem to any system, right? So you know that as your concerns about the AI. Actually, in what level you are thinking about, Malin? What do you think that? Are you there still? Yes.
I'm feeling like it's gonna take over our lives in a really big way that nobody really anticipated. Maybe the people who worked in AI and the development of it. But when I applied to the course and study with Dr. Deepika, I actually thought that being an Ayurvedic practitioner might be a very AI-proof job. And I wonder whether that's true or whether I'm wrong. Maybe there are some things where AI might be taken into the world of Ayurveda in a way that I haven't thought about. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's you know that there are some AI, I mean that make apps, you know, some gadgets, maybe some artificial intelligence based systems is developing in the world, right? Even nowadays, you can see that when it comes to Prakriti, right? You can find Prakriti using an app, right? Maybe using your phone app sometimes, right? But the problem is the human nature, right? Any sort of artificial intelligence or any thing, right? They cannot capture the human nature and human behavior and how we think our pattern. I don't think that, right? Because it's the Ayurvedic system is the same, right? If you go towards more technology or purification processes, these systems are not, I mean, that work nicely because your body is one of normal environment, right? We call it Panchamahabhuta Siddhanta, right? As you know that, maybe if you learn Ayurveda, right? One day we all are going for the normal environment, right? Our bodies goes there, right? It's a connectivity, right? This is the beauty of Ayurveda, right? So within any sort of this artificial works, it's not work in future. It's collapse the systems ultimately. Maybe if I'm wrong, that maybe in future, that maybe you are younger than us, right? Maybe you survive than us, right? So you can see the correlation that what I'm telling you here, right? So you can see that this system should be in normal nature. Otherwise, whole world is collapsed. Right?
Thank you so much.
So another, that arm is raised.
Avi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, please go.
Hi, Doctor. Hi, Professor. It's really interesting talk. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask, as the popularity of Ayurveda is growing, there seems to be, there's so many different schools everywhere that I've seen online, and they offer courses that kind of with a lot less study time than what we've done. And it says, practitioner course, and you'll be a practitioner in however many hours. I just wondered if there was anything out there that kind of, I guess, protected us as that will differentiate us that have done the deeper study like we have done with Dr. Deepika, compared to someone who's just done, a quick Ayurveda course and then calling themselves a practitioner. I just wondered if there's anything to protect us, or to at least let people know the depths in which we've learned. I know that we've done level 2, but I just wondered if there was anything else.
Yes, I think that Dr. Deepika is having different level of platform, right? In my thinking that anything that at the very beginning as a beginner, right, we cannot catch. Right? There's some levels, steps, right? I'm not telling that all these internet jargon that courseworks, the institutions, as you said, that they are doing good things to the Ayurveda or any other fields, not only the Ayurveda, right? Even Western medicine or other computer-based medicine, whatever, right? So it's not like that. You have to find out the correct person, correct place, and correct integrity, right? So it will be nice. Otherwise, that with all these are evolving every time, changing patterns, right? So if you are not learning in correct place, right, your basics is getting wrong. What happened? It's collapse the systems, right? So better to learn in good place. It's very essential. But that one place cannot give everything. That the learner, right? Learner should find and the read and more interact with the society, right? And you can get gathered more data, right? Especially that we are thinking to collaborate with Dr. Deepika's place as a university in my faculty. We are discussing how we can engage to spread our traditional systems of medicine, especially the Sri Lankan medicine. So in that, I think in future you can reboost. It's like a recharge your pattern, right? Pattern of learning.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avi.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Professor Kamal, and for what an insightful lecture. And and we are really love to have further discussion, further collaboration, further studies, further education with the Faculty of Ayurveda in Sri Lanka. And we welcome you and other professors in Sri Lanka, their knowledge and their expertise to our college as well. And same as me can join to your college and give some insight what I learned from here and how the Western people expecting Ayurveda from our countries, and that kind of thing. And we have to always think about this, give and take relationship with the Western world and the Eastern world. Sometimes, like the thing is like we got to be careful as well what we're giving and what we're taking. And because you know, the society in here very different than where we come from. You know, like everything is like money and the prestige, and whole thing is depends on a lot of things are money. You know, because they used to the medicine, you know, pharmaceutical world. You know, and how they prepare in medicine, and then how they prescribe in medicine, and this kind of thing. And to keep our authentic, you know, way of, you know, like the preserving the Ayurveda as authentic science, we had to work very hard, you know, like we had to work with the heart a lot, and we had to work in the mind and heart together always to give a better understanding. This is a spiritual science, but based on the science, you know, based on scientific evidence, you know, like we can use it as a methodology to, you know, like prove that. But most of the thing is like you can, because you know the saying when the science hit the wall, the philosophies begin. You know, and that means, you know, science can't lot things science can't explain, like what Dr. Kamal said. You know, and we have to find out both sciences, allopathic or Ayurveda, the limitations, and then we have to discuss that and work together. I think this is very good forum. I think yes, very insightful discussion. I will hand over to Ajanta, and thank you very much, Professor Kamal Perera. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And the very last word is just again to thank Professor Kamal, and thank to everybody who came this evening, and for your questions, and your, most of all, thank you for your attention, because our hope is that it is people like you who will be the torchbearers of Ayurveda in the future. So all of the research that Professor Kamal is doing is relevant to you, and there is a responsibility for you to disseminate this knowledge, to give the benefit of this knowledge to the people you're helping. So thank you, everybody. And I think particularly Professor Kamal, I know it's beyond midnight now for you, so great thanks for staying up, and apologies to your colleagues tomorrow who will get a tired version of you.
Now is December 1st in here.
No, it's December 1st.
I live with you one day.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a lovely evening and a good sleep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.